Hey gang, I am super excited today because I get to share something really cool with you. So anyone that's really scratched the surface of my channel knows that I love vintage rack effects. One of my favorite vintage rack effects comes from this box right here. The Yamaha SPX90, an absolute classic vintage rack effect. It has reverbs, delays, choruses, pitch. I mean, it's incredibly versatile. But it has this one effect called symphonic. This has been an elusive effect that you can't really get anywhere else. There's a few other Yamaha boxes that have it. There's no plugins. There's no pedals. It's just, you can't get it. Now, why would I be so obsessed with this particular effect? Well, this effect was heavily used in the late 80s and early 90s. A couple of big ones for me is Ozzy Osbourne's No Rest for the Wicked and No More Tears. This effect is the big stereo chorus on Zakk Wylde's guitar sound. The other is Nirvana's Nevermind. It's all over the bass. That sort of cool, soupy stereo bass effect, that's SPX90 SYMPHONIC. So now instead of trying to track down a 35-year-old piece of rack equipment, you can have this in plugin, which is phenomenal. Quick disclaimer, I'm involved in this product, but also it's awesome. So stick around, let me show you why it's awesome. So being a guitar tone sound design nerd, I started making tones for the Kemper Profiler. So that's my Big Hairy Sounds, Big Hairy Profiles. Now I also started making sounds for Overloud's TH-U plugin. So that's cool because you don't need any extra hardware. You know, you just need a way to get your guitar into the computer, and then you pull up the plugin and you're kind of ready to rock. It's a really good sounding plugin. I started working with Overloud because I've been using their mixing plugins for years. They're very, very high quality. So I knew the effects and everything, algorithms were going to be top notch, and they are. So the way this works, so I could break it down because I know people will ask me, there's several versions of this. You could get the TH-U full, which comes with like all of the extra plugins, or you could get the light version, which is much cheaper, which has less amp and effects options. But if you're just going to go in and buy the extra rig packs, you can get that, throw in the rig packs, and you're good to go. So all of the presets I make are designed for the light, and the light effects sound really good. So it's not like you're suffering here. I've been able to create some heavy like 80s studio guitar tones and swirling and stuff. Now this is where it gets really cool. I'm working with the Overloud guys. They know how to make plugins. They're incredible. So when I was making my first rig packs with them, I was missing an effect. I was missing that micro pitch eventide kind of effect. And I asked them, like, is there any way you can make one for me? And they did it. It's like, that's the sound. So here I am, I'm making a new rig pack called the MetlX Pack, which is based on those beautiful golden metal amps of the 80s. And you can't try and really create an authentic 80s Zakk sound or 90s Zakk sound without a symphonic chorus, but no one has ever made one before. So my boys at Overloud dug in and they did it, which was so great. And they actually took measurements from my unit, which is extra cool. So it's my symphonic chorus in the plugin. So the way that works also is the micro pitch comes in those first two, like, very studio oriented packs. And then the symphonic plugin comes in this MetlX pack. So look, if you don't want to use any of the amp stuff, get TH-U Lite. and then get the MetlX pack just for the Symphonic plugin. It's still cheaper than going to buy one of the really big name plugins, and it's it. So that's the whole front end spiel of how this works. That tune in the front, I mean, that was covered in sort of symphonic courses, the bass, the guitars, the lead, everything except the drums. So I'm gonna crack open that session and show you. We'll do a little A/B, I'll show you before and afters, and show you a little bit about how the TH-U plugin works, and so you could hear it in action. All right, so I'm here with the session of my like little Rush Zach mashup kind of vibe here. Let me show you first of all the TH-U plugin. I'm going to put it on a new instance going here. And so what it comes up with is typically an empty screen, and then you could just drag things over. Like here's the rig player if you're going to get custom rigs. Here is the banks and the presets on this side, and this is all the presets that I made of different bands and genres and stuff. And or you could just go in and select a preset, swap out the rig that you want to do. For this tune, I started with one of my sort of Zach presets and then just adjusted from there. I used 2 and then I completely built new ones. So what you can do is get more rigs. I'll put all of the presets that I made for this tune also up there, so you can grab those if you want. So I'm going to throw these out. Here is the SPX90 plugin. And yeah, let's move on. So let's, starting with the drums, because someone always asks, you know, even if you don't care. Sorry, skip ahead. The primary kit is coming from the Get Good Drums One Kit Wonder. But the kick drum wasn't powerful enough for me in that, for what I was trying to do here. So then I opened up Superior Drummer 3, Bob Rock Foundry, expanded bit for that, and that has a very cool metal rock. And you put them together and it the very first thing I did for this was I just put down this little synth part. And chorus on synths is a beautiful thing, so I was like, here's my synth part. Then I put on the SPX90, and it instantly was like, oh, yes, fantastic. That's one of the cool things about TH-U. Even if you're not going for it for the rig packs, the effects are amazing. And getting TH-U is like getting a cornucopia of effects in one place, and you could just use this as an effects hub, drop your effects in as you like it. I'll show you more on the guitars as that goes. And then the bass as well. I plugged the bass in direct. I'll just show you. You can see I did a lot of beefing up on the bass. It was a Music Man 5-string, very basic, but I wanted it to get some juice. That's perfectly acceptable and cool on its own, but throwing the SPX90 on the bass, which I know that works because Nirvana's Nevermind was a pretty solid album, and there's chorus all over that bass. Pull back the depth, lower the rate. And just get a really nice silky sort of spread out chorus for your bass. The guitars is where I start going symphonic crazy. Here is that opening clean sound, which is again direct. The sound is coming from TH-U, I'm building it out. That's the clean. I pulled up from the MetlX Rig Pack, the clean sparkling, which sounded like that would be a great option. So you can see here, there is a very big roadmap, because sometimes your signal chains can get fairly large. So I have a bunch of little tiny sculpting EQs. Look, it's like a 0.3 dB, but it doesn't take up much processing power. In fact, you could use TH-U on your iPhone or iPad and all of the presets work. I mean, it's incredible how they've scaled the horsepower down where it has so much headroom. So I threw in an extra little digital chorus and a symphonic on the patch here. So that was just a touch, and then I was thinking, you know what? That's not enough. Let's get it really nice and soupy. So I've got the stock D delay here, and then I doubled up on symphonic. Now, this is what you can't do with one rack unit unless you have... I've already used it on my synth, and I've already used it on my bass. I don't have 15 rack units to dedicate to chorusing. So this is where you can really create something far beyond what the original rack unit can do. Now what's cool is I could take these and I'll move these into the original preset. So this will just be saved as a single preset. And then you blend all that stuff together and you put the... It gets gloriously rich. This chiming part is the same deal. It started with the same rig, this clean sparkling rig, and we added some lovely delay and symphonic. It's got that shoosh that comes and does that beautiful spread. Here's the first set of heavy guitars. So that's an insane amount of chorus going on. Let me pull back to, let's just take a look at one. That's off of the Purple Haze rig. And that's a fairly subtle chorus that just added a little bit of depth, but I sent it through a bus, so both of those guitars are going through another mix channel, essentially, and they are getting hit with a heavier symphonic. I recognize that's a lot of chorus. You could easily just back it off and, you know, pull the depth and mix. Cool. Now I added one other TH-U element here out of their Reverb, which are lovely reverbs. They also sell Reverb as a totally separate reverb pack, which is an excellent plugin, separate plugin for mixing, but you could get it inside TH-U too, and that. Some depth, because, you know, that's what we were doing. That's where we're going. So we put these back and you get this. Alright, so now we're on the lead guitar, and that started with, again, that same rig. It was just working today, so I was like, oh, I'll keep going with that rig. You know, but a lot of times I'll switch up rigs. You know, you could find the tone in a lot of different places. of these off. I went nuts. And there, I even turned something off over here. Lastly, I'm going to show you a comparison between the rack unit and the plugin. Here's one of the raw tracks. And then I could throw on the rack unit symphonic. And the plugin. Here's the rack unit. Plugin. Here's the rack unit. Plugin. Now the rack unit has a certain bit of oldness to it. It sort of like darkens the sound a little bit, but not what I really want it to do, because if I'm using it on bass, lead vocals, or guitars, I want the presence there. The rack unit also comes with this. Scratchy pots and buzz. And then the last thing that really is a bummer on the rack units is the way it works is there's a mono in and stereo out. So if you have a stereo set of guitars, what's happening is it monos them and then spreads that out. So you're not getting a real stereo in, stereo out. So what you have to do is set up an aux send, put the rack unit on an aux, feed signal from your bus over there, but it ends up stacking, so you get this huge level bump. And again, you're not getting, the effect isn't in true stereo, the effect is mono to stereo. So that's it, guys. Kind of a long one, but I wanted to show you some of the production stuff, which some people have been asking for, so thank you so much for that. I also wanted to show you the TH-U plugin, which is really killer, and I have rig packs available for that, so check the links. And I wanted to show you, of course, the Symphonic 90, which guitar player, not guitar player, if you're a mixer, if you're a hip-hop producer, that's no-brainer. That's the stuff, and it's the only place to get it. There is no other. So I'm very excited about that personally, as you can probably tell, because I just throw that on everything. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you will. I appreciate all the support you've been giving the channel. We will see you next time. Bye now.